Hey everybody, Douglas here. Time for another VST library review. This is just going to be a short review of one of my favorite instruments, Metales Latinos, Latin Brass Virtual Sound Module. This is a fantastic set. I have reviewed this on the website Producer's Vault. I produce spec music and sometimes songs to specific leads for Taxi A&R. And the screener who listened to the track I produced recently for this one said the horns sounded great. They couldn't even tell that they were a digital instrument the way I played them. Now, just a real quick overview of the specs on here. You've got control of the gain. You can pan left and right. You can do polynotes, mono for solos obviously, or legato. You've got control over your reverb. You can play with the pitch a little bit if you want. This says Pavonio. I do not know what that means. Let's hold a note and play with that and see what that does. All right, let's turn that option up and see what that does. Nothing as far as I can tell on that instrument. So, over here you have control of your attacks, your decay, sustain, and release. And then you have pro tools over here, like do you want to control your LFO source with your modulation wheel? Do you want to control it with your aftertouch? Do you want to control it with your velocity? I'm going to control it with the modulation wheel. And so I don't know what the waveform choices are here. I just don't care. And I have no idea what LFO rate does. I'm just not going to mess with it because, again, these sound fantastic out of the box. Now, again, this instrument doesn't sound natural. I'm playing with the modulation wheel right now. Did you hear that? All right. When you hit click, you can click right or left to select the next instrument, or you can click load to go to the specific area you want. And that's what we're doing right now. Let's try Brass General. This is Brass de Miami XXL. Let's go to the next one. It's called Brass Falls del Carbe, is how I think you say that. My Spanish sucks. I dated a girl from the Dominican Republic in the 80s, and she would grab my face because I couldn't roll my R's. Anyway, okay, here's Brass Falls. Doesn't that sound great? Very natural. The next one is called Brass Latino Sustain and Falls. And what happens if I apply a little modulation wheel to that? You can get a little crazy there and make it sound very unnatural. Tarchetta alto horn E flat. Okay. Double alto horn. So carchetta must mean staccato. Clarinetta, Gua Pacoso. My Spanish sucks. Cumbiambero. Just a nice little clarinet for you. That modulation's a little over the top. You could always control it by just moving your wheel just ever so slightly. Let's move down to flugelhorn. I love the little picture they have of the instrument. In case you're not sure what you're playing, you can look at it. And here is the tuba. Moving on to the next batch of patches, flautas or flutes. It's in poly mode. Let's switch that to mono mode and see if we can get a better solo out of that. Hear that? Here is New York de Charanga Flauta. Use that to accent whatever you're working on. Next one is called Sabrosa de Santiago. Just a little smaller. And the less flauta is Tropical XXL. Saxophones. Here's the Alto Marenguer Corto saxophone. Okay. Saxophone Alto Tropical XXL. That's a pretty decent sounding saxophone. Barbono del Caribe. Sax Baritono Salsero. Oh yeah. That modulation wheel's out of control. Latino MB saxophone. Nice. Soprano sax. Tenor Tropical XX. I can't tell if it's an L or an I there. Looks like an L, but it's little. That'd work great in your reggaeton song. And finally, the Mamberos Dominicanos saxophone. Saxos. Okay, we're up to the trombones already. There are 5 trombone options here. First one is called Colon Sacero XXL. I used the trombones on that piece I told you about earlier for the A&R company, and it sounded fantastic. I used 3 or 4 individual instruments to make it sound like a quartet. Oh, that's nice. So, fast velocity gives you the drops. And then it comes back in. I didn't even notice when I used it. Okay. Sonidero XXL. A little dissonant there. Tropical XXL. And Salseros Ensemble. Now we're up to the trumpets, or trompetas, as they call them in Spanish. There are 8 options here. Let's start with Cubana Core Sordina. I don't know what that means. Oh, it's muted. That's a really nice muted trumpet. I haven't played with this yet. Got a couple jazz pieces where I'm using a muted trumpet that I found somewhere online. I think I'm going to go back and replace it with this one because this sounds really good. Okay. Next one is called Guapachoso Chosa del Caribe. And again, that modulation wheel is just too much. Latina MB Swell and Falls. Swell and Falls. Velocity doesn't seem to affect that instrument. It's the same whether I barely tap it or slam it. Mega Staccato. Trompetas Mexicana XXL. Good spit noise. Tropical double XL. Trompitas y Trombone de Pueblo. Oh, little combo. That's fun. Okay. Section Salsa de Caribe. And finally, that brings us down to the synthesized instruments. They give you a nice little collection of oddities to play with here. This is called Brass 1M1. The next one is called Brass JP01. I'm doing this the hard way. Let's push the arrow for the next one. Brass Juno. Does it sound like a Juno? A little bit. Brass JV series. Brass section from the 90s. Great name. D50 synth brass. That's funny. It sounds like a lot of synthesizers from the 80s. Horn section D50. Again, this is just the synth teclados, they call it. It sounded pretty good there. Synth horn T1 and synth octabrass M1. Synth polybrass. Very, very 70s. Like an old CS80? CS80? I think that's the last one. Oh no, we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. The next one is called Power Brass D50. Saxophone M1. Again, this is synthesized. Kind of unnatural sounding there. Stab Brass D50. Tiny little drop and then back. Use that for your Thriller cover. Trombone 01W. That sounds like a tuba. Use that to thicken out your trombones or your tubas. And finally, synth trumpet M1. And finally, last but not least, tuba y comos franceses. Well, it's a tuba, so. And there you have it. Metales Latinos from Producer's Vault. I think I dropped $130 for my copy. It is so worth it for the trombones and the trumpets specifically. Thanks for watching. Bye.